Okay. How are you people? How is everyone? How are you today? So, Julie, Paul, there. Julie, Paul, there. Natalie, authentic awareness, greetings. Natalie, greetings. Jen Kim, greetings. Terry Scott, greetings. How are you? How are you? Angela, hello. Angela. So why don't you guys give me a like, at least, as you come in, hit that like, let us get this algorithms popping so the videos can go further. We have more chances to your light burns down narcissistic people. Now we're going to take some time to say hi to people and then we shall start with the video. Tony McLean, I see you. That is not your worry. That is not your problem to worry about. Angela, that is not your duty to figure out. So I'm going to be sharing some of these questions so that you guys, we can, you guys can read through. So interact with the questions. That is not your duty to figure out, okay? Your guilt is like, for example, finding out that your ex was a narcissist and now you're guilty because you're thinking, let's close this door. So I'm going to be doing some lives because, I think it's time we do some little bit more interactions. This helps us to interact a little bit more. Angela, you cannot fix a problem that wasn't yours to begin with. So you cannot continue being guilty for feeling guilty. You cannot continue feeling guilty for problems that you didn't create. When your parents, I don't know which narcissist you're dealing with, parents, maybe it's family members, it's relatives, partners, he wasn't there. That one had nothing to do with you, okay? Most likely you might be dealing with NPCs. So you might be dealing with parents who never had a soul. You don't know what happened to their soul. These are things have nothing to do with you. So the only thing you will ever focus on is your growth. The moment you start understanding what is abuse, you wake up, you now put attention in the direction of your personal growth. What happened to them, where they started, why are they knocking around? That wasn't that wasn't yours to figure out. It never had anything to do with you. I don't know how to. So you need to stop. I'm figuring out how to. Okay, get it. A lot of narcissists, I don't understand this video. That is from Joe. Joe, I don't know if you've been watching this channel. You might be wrong. You might be watching the wrong channel. This is an empath channel, so you may be coming in. You're not connected with what we are saying here. It might make your head spin. So if you know you're not an empath, don't try to consume these things. They won't make your head spin. So your mother's narcissist. So in my case, it was the father. So this has nothing to do with you, Angela. This is so we have narcissistic parents, and they have always messed up. They have done things at the time we was young. We didn't even know what they was doing. But we continue to grow, and now we realize that this wasn't our problem. Okay. The only thing we could ever do for ourselves, we awaken, is to break the cycle, get out, go and work on ourselves and growth and evolution. Because there are some people, you have got to realize there is some people that is here and they're not here to evolve. They're not here to grow. They will never evolve. They're just going to go through life like that. And that is very, it can be painful when you're looking at a parent, for example, and you're seeing this parent. So you're seeing a parent, a narcissistic parent, and you're feeling like, is there anything you could do? You're feeling sorry for them. You are like, what could you have done better? Nothing. That parent, you're feeling guilty. The one who's saying that you're feeling guilty because the parent you're dealing with was the parent that was planning and plotting to unalive you. That same parent you're feeling sorry for was the same parent that was intending, probably even poisoned you at some point. They wanted to destroy you. Actually, many of them have attempted to destroy you. When you hear the stories of survivors of abuse, you will be surprised. You will be shocked at the stories people have inside narcissistic family dynamics. As I grow, as I've evolved, I've continued to appreciate the path I have taken. I have met people from normal families. And sometimes you hear the stories, oh, the dad was like that, mom. You can hear people talking about normal conversations. You can hear people talking about parents who have always had their back. They have always been in their corner. I've met some people who have grown up in normal families. But when you have grown up in the dysfunctional family matrix, that is tough. There is things you're talking about nobody understands. There's a language you speak, it sounds very foreign to other people. People can't believe, how can your mother do this? How can your father do that? And you're trying to explain to them, you're making them more confused because they're coming from normal functional families. You're from a dysfunctional family. And people think you're lying. You're making up some stories, you're taking them on the right. It's what happens. But people don't understand the families exist. Those kind of families exist. A lot of them exist behind closed doors. And a lot of them, they're the families that you guys admire. So you guys, you may see these families in the news, you see these families showing up on TV, and they, the kids look at you like behind the scenes, they're dysfunctional. Behind the scenes, you might be dealing with families that are occultic in nature. You might be dealing with covens. You could be dealing with different types of families with very dark stuff happening behind the scenes. But when they come on the cameras and public, or they're going to put up that smile, and they will all be holding hands, father with the children and everything. You're going to admire them. But behind the scenes, they have a secret, and when you know that secret, you don't even want to knock at their door anytime soon. So as I've evolved, I've continued to realize that we have always seen people, celebrated people, admired them. Even some of them apparently inspired us. Later on, for us to find out the same people that we used to celebrate, ever since we was kids and whatever, those people was broken people, so we were actually feeding from the wrong energy. We was eating from the wrong plate. Because if you have grown up in the dysfunction family matrix, it doesn't even matter how perfect your parents looked. Whatever they wanted to show the world out there, whatever they wanted to, what image they wanted to show, because they are very good at performance. Those kind of families are very good at performance. There's an image they will throw out there. But you being in that family, you have been feeding from the wrong plate. You have been eating from the wrong plate. What I mean by this is that by the time you realize that you're waking up, you're now starting to look around and pick up all these pieces, put them back in order, and realize you have been broken from day one because you're being raised out of dysfunction. You grew up in dysfunction, so you've been raised out of dysfunction. So even some of your ways is dysfunctional a little bit. But although it's not everybody that grows in dysfunction ends up being dysfunctional, okay? Especially if you're the person who didn't have a conscious. If you grew up eating the poison, listening to everything, what the father said, I used to be a person who used to ask questions. So I used to ask questions. I see things, I would ask. So what about this? What does that mean? This one doesn't make sense. Sometimes when you're too young, you see things. And because you're the one that asks the questions, you can be punished. Why are you asking too much? Go mind your own business. What is wrong with you? Go back and sit down. You think too much. I was confronted by a family member say, oh, you worry too much. You think everything is about you and everything. So, do all narcs end up with dementia? I don't know. I cannot answer that question. I cannot talk for all narcissists, but I can talk for the majority that I know, and I always want to stay in my lane to teach the things that I know. When you talk about these other things, dementia, everything, those are different things. I cannot go into that. But I know about some narcissists who have experienced dementia. But I think dementia at some point, when a person gets older, the chances are higher to catch those kind of diseases, conditions. You might have dealt, I'm going to be answering some of these questions. How do I stop thinking about a woman I met only one time? She entered my head like a demon. She felt like a covered nag or a witch. So now that is a woman, we are talking about a spirit. I don't know exactly what type of woman we're talking about here, but you met the woman one time and she cannot get out of your head. Sometimes, I don't know, you could be infatuated, or it could be you ran into a succubus. Succubus spirits, for a lot of you guys who don't know these spirits, they are very seductive in nature. So sometimes when you have a person that has a succubus spirit, when you meet them, he's going to feel like you cannot do anything else. They cannot get out of your head. It was just one meeting, whatever, you didn't even have anything serious. So you might be dealing with a person that has that spirit as well. But if you're prayerful, of course, you can pray against that spirit and you can command that spirit to leave. You see, a lot of you guys, what you don't understand is that you have got the power. The power is within you. You have always been given the power. Even a lot of you guys who are reading the Bible, you have already been told this in your Bible. You have got the power to cast out demons. But many of you actually just forgot that power. You just forgot about that power. So when you're dealing with these spirits, you know, so some of you guys who sleep and you have these demons running after you, you wake up, you're sweating, you're all over the place. You just wake up, sit on your bed and command those spirits to leave. Those spirits know who you are. And when you speak with command, those spirits are going to vacate that vicinity. But you have to speak. You need to use your voice to speak. They need to hear. That voice needs to. You have to command. So when you're dealing with those kind of entities from darker dimensions, the only thing they made you forget was your power, because they wanted you manipulated and they wanted you in lower states of vibration. So they made you forget, but you have the power. So when you command those spirits, they are going to leave. Okay? But if you're acting out of fear, oh, demons, you wake up, you're sweating, Do you know how many demons I've been battling ever since I woke up, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know how many demons? I've battled a lot of those demons, succubus, incubus, those kind of Jezebel women with those Jezebel spirits, Leviathans. I've been battling them, but I'm not scared of those demons because I know where they are coming from energetically. So when they show up, I put them in their own place. Because you see, when you're high vibrational, spiritual warfare does not end. It is always going to feel like you're battling one demon after the other one. When you finish this one, another one shows up. You finish that one, another one shows up. But the secret is to remember your power. When you remember your power, they lose control over you because they cannot control somebody who knows their power. So that is the secret of those demons. So for you, how do you stop thinking about a woman? If you find yourself obsessing about that woman, you cannot get out of your head, you might have encountered the demon. And the demon might have hijacked your mind. That is why her face cannot leave your mind. Your brain, you're infatuated with this. It could have been a demon. If it was a normal person, you don't get caught up in those feelings like that, Especially if you've not had anything to do with them, maybe it was just one encounter, that's it. Yes, it's normal to think about, that was a pretty girl I met at the party. It could have been at the party. This woman showed up, there was that click, you could have a little bit of thoughts, she was nice, pretty, but don't like it to an extent whereby you started to get obsessed about some woman you ran into. So you could have dealt with the spirit. So if you feel like that thing cannot get out of your mind, you can command that demon. Could have been a demon. Command. Use the power of your voice. Command that spirit to leave. It will go. You guys, the Bible scholars, you know, Jesus used to command those spirits, those demons. He used to ask them to leave. So that is the power. You command them to leave, and they are going to leave because they know that they are living on borrowed time. They possess people, use them for their missions, and then they are going to leave to go to the next person. So you, when you understand this warfare, you command these demons to leave. So, yes, Angela says, I got out and you helped me a lot. I have felt guilt for 2 years. Yes, so that is a very common thing that happens to empaths. You leave, and what happens now, you're going to feel like you did something wrong. You betrayed your family. You're going to feel like you should have stayed, you know, maybe that guilt is very common. But that guilt is also conditioning, because when you have been conditioned very deeply in the narcissistic family dynamic, that means that leaving was not an option. You were supposed to stay because it was the supply. So when you leave, it follows you. That guilt keeps on following you. So I think also it took me a couple of years to get over that guilt. I was feeling maybe I'd betrayed the family and that kind of stuff, but I didn't know that actually that was the beginning of my healing journey. Later on, I sat with it, I healed from that, and I realized that that was the best thing that I had to do. So we have one choice, we have one life to live. And when we choose wisely, we have a chance to live that life accordingly. So the guilt, you're not alone. It happens, but that is a normal process. You're a normal human being. So you can feel guilty, especially if you're empath. You can feel connections, you feel guilty, you feel emotions. So that is a normal thing, but you don't have to beat yourself up. You cannot blame yourself for choosing yourself. You can only congratulate yourself for choosing you. Anthony says hello, Samantha, Shanna Grabs. So, Angela, don't have to worry about nothing. There's nothing to worry about. Guilt, yes, it happens. My soulmate is maybe bad. God said he's trying to grow. I really don't know. You know, this thing of soulmates, you guys need to be careful. So actually, I think a lot of empaths get confused. You tend to get it twisted with these soulmate things. So when you haven't yet pretty much educated yourself and understood relationships, dynamics, sometimes you're going to run into people who are going to mirror your energy. This one is very important, actually. Listen very closely. You're going to run into people that are going to mirror your energy. You see, a lot of these karmics, they know who you are, and they know what you want to hear, and they know what you want to see. So when you run into a karmic, I'm talking about those toxic people, they're going to mirror your energy. You're going to see them liking the same TV shows, talking about the same language. It's like you guys are twins. And sometimes you're going to get it twisted. That's your soulmate. But when the soulmate makes you feel a certain kind of a way, then that is not your soulmate. Whenever you feel like your energy is all over the place, you cannot sit tight, you're worried about everything, about anything, you are like, A soulmate has to make you feel very peaceful. When you're with your soulmate, one thing I've noticed, they bring the best out of you. You don't have to be worried about anything. When you're with them, it's like everything is, it's like the whole world is in your hands. It's not like you're worried about things, you're worried about what they're going to say, you are thinking maybe they are good, maybe they are bad. No, 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 no. When you're with a soulmate, you already know that is the person. There's an energy they emit. They radiate a certain energy that makes you comfortable. So you don't have to be worried about them because you wholeheartedly trust each other. That is what they call the soulmate. But when you start maybe, then you might be dealing with the wrong person. So if you're dealing with a person that fully mirrors your energy, but still you're feeling some kind of a way with them, it's like, for example, when I met, you guys have shared with you the story of the spiritual narcissist. So I was almost sure that this person was my soulmate until I started to see the red flags, you see? So when I started to hear the gaslighting, the greed, the attention seeking, the competition, the word salads, what do they call that word? Silent treatments. So I was like, okay, this is not a soulmate, this is a karmic. I was like, I get it. So the whole idea in the beginning was mirroring. So this so-called soulmate was mirroring my energy. So that's what karmics do. They mirror your energy, and it's going to be very, very confusing if you don't know what time it is. You will think that that's the person. It's not the person. No. So when it comes to relationships, you have to be very careful, chosen ones. You have to be very careful because you're going to get confused running into a karmic that looks like you and wants everything that you do. So what we're going to be doing, like I've told you guys, we are going to start having these lives. I think it helps you guys get a voice. I can actually read your questions. Maybe I might have something to share with you. And it helps this chat, I think, become a little bit more interactive. So we start to interact a little bit more, other than just making these videos and I post. I will also be doing that, but I think the lives will also make some more sense. Then there is Terry Scott, I see you. Region Elite, I see you. A person can have dementia, so it doesn't mean that if they have dementia, they are narcissist. A person could have had different, health conditions, and it could have led to dementia. So it's not all dementia patients is narcissists. Could be old age, depending how they have lived their life. They couldn't have been all that healthy, probably some deficiencies in diet, minerals, vitamins, or stuff, and they didn't age properly. But where I come from, we don't have those dementia. It's not very common. Dementia is not very common where I come from. So people grow old and, but you will not be dealing with dementia, all these dementia situations and everything. People grow old and age gracefully and, but I don't know where you're living, but I mean, it is not connected to narcissism. I don't think so. It is likely. It is not related, but it is very likely. Okay, we could maybe say it like that. Like somebody has been trying to Jamie Mackenzie. It is likely, yes. I'm not saying all. It could be likely, but not all of them. So what is really happening is that when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with an empty vessel. You're dealing with a person who doesn't even know who they are. So you're dealing with a person who does not even remember the words they told you yesterday. And this doesn't even matter if they're old or not. So maybe the chances are high that when they grow older, yes, they could end up with dementia. But I don't want to attach this whole thing to dementia because they're narcissists, because there's also other people, normal people, that end up with dementia and they're not narcissists. So I don't want to kind of like put it together. But the chances are high if they've been narcissistic all their lives. They could have caught up with dementia. Chuba Oyolo, thank you very much for the donations. Guys, if you want to super chat me, if you like my stuff, what I do, you're very welcome to super chat me. And you can put your questions as well. I will read them as we go along. So, what else here? Let me see. I don't know why I cannot get back to the questions. I'm trying to find the link here. Hold on. So, let's see here. Um, I don't know why I can't see the comments. Guys, I cannot catch your comments. Hold on a second. Let me get this whole thing fixed properly. Oh, okay. I think we have them now. Let me do it like this, okay? So I can read your comments properly. Let us add just a little bit. We shall manage like that. Yeah, where were we? Kels, I see you. Good morning. Zoe, Grand Rising. Legion Elite, subscribes. Yes, you haven't subscribed. Why haven't you subscribed? That's a good question. You can subscribe. I mean, if you like the stuff, you're welcome to subscribe. Now, there is something I want to let you guys know that actually you guys have not been paying attention. So, Maybe you guys have noticed, and I think this is something you haven't been paying close attention, but when you're around narcissistic people, they are struggling to sit still. They are either moving up and down, they are running to the kitchen, or they are going to be in the bathroom somewhere, or they are going to be making an excuse to leave the house, or sometimes you might see they are running to open the windows. They want the windows open. They want the doors open. Sometimes it's freezing. It's ice cold outside, but it feels like they are burning. And I did a video about this. I think that video was like 3 years ago, because that's one of the first things I noticed. Now, you see, you're having a battle between light and darkness. The darkness needs your light to see where it's going. Okay? These are the videos only a few people will understand. The darkness needs your light. It's like, for example, when you're standing with somebody, or let's say you're walking around with somebody who is blind, you can hold their hand and you are going to lead the way. So you'll be the one leading the way to show them, like kind of to direct them where they need to go. The narcissist needs your light. But your light is too bright for them. They need your light to survive, because without your light, a narcissist doesn't exist. They cannot thrive without your light. But sometimes the light is too bright and it's burning them down. So most of the times you guys have noticed, you may be sitting around somewhere, chilling, everything is okay, nice day, you woke up, everything was fine, there was no problem. You had a nice breakfast, and then out of the blue, the narcissist went into rage. The narcissist went into rage. You don't know what happened. You're now there, you are looking up around, you don't know what have you said, maybe you did something wrong. No, you did not do anything wrong. The narcissist just gets triggered out of the blue and they're going to start screaming at you. And you start going to fighting back and forth. They're going to start screaming, shouting around this and this and this. What is really happening? Guys, you need to be very careful. You see, a lot of the empaths, the world has been hiding you from your power. The world knows who you are. These narcissistic people, they know who you are. The narcissist is going to blow up all of a sudden, and they're going to start attacking you out of the blue. So now what is really happening, energetically, because you guys need to understand energetic dynamics when it comes to narcissistic and empath relationships. Energetically, they are putting you at a frequency that will actually dim your light. You see, because the more stress they put on you, when they put a lot of stress and tension on you, it pushes you into a lower frequency and it dims your light. So let's say, for example, you have a light that shines all the way up to number 5. They dim it a little bit, so it's going to go to number 1, that one which they can handle. So they're going to dim your light to a level that they can handle, because if they feel you too bright for them, that is going to be a problem. They cannot handle you. They cannot operate when you're too bright. So they dim you down so that they can feed off of you. Do you guys follow? In most of the cases, when you run into a narcissistic individual, in many cases, many case scenarios, after the love bomb, this love bomb, honeymoon is finished, everything is finished, what they are going to do, they are going to slowly beat you down in so many different ways. So you can feel very small about yourself. And these things start with something that doesn't even make any sense. It can start with very little things. Oh, I don't like the way you braid your hair. I don't like that style. That style is too old school. I don't like the choice of the clothes you wear. I don't like the words that you use. I don't like you spending time in the gym. I don't like you watching these kind of movies. Now they're going to start bit by bit, beating down everything that is a part and parcel of your authenticity. So you're like, okay, I'm in this relationship. You want to please your partner. You guys are okay. I want to make them happy, whatever. Okay. So what do you suggest? No, I think the best way, you need to dress that way, or you need to wear these kind of shoes, or you need to make a hairstyle that looks like that. Now they're going to start feeding you with their poison. These videos are for people that know what time it is. I've told you when you are not, if you're not all about that frequency, you're going to get your head spin. So they're going to start beating you down bit by bit, step by step. The reason why they are doing this is because they have already figured out your light is too bright. So they find ways that they can dim that light. Because when it's shining too bright, it's going to burn them down. Your light burns the demons within the narcissist. Is why they fight so hard to dim it the lowest it can get so they can be able to handle you. Did you guys know that sometimes you can be in a family, for example, okay? And in that family, you have got other, actually I'm going to do a video about this whole thing, and it is a very, very disturbing thing. So that video has got to do with not all your family have souls, your family members, your so-called brothers and sisters. Not all of them have souls. Some of them are NPCs. So that is going to be a different video. We're going to talk about that in a different video. But did you know that sometimes you can have family members the narcissistic parent is going to put a lot of attention and pressure on you. Everything you dress, the schools you will choose, your choice of schools, your choice of education, your choice of food, they might even dictate what they want you to eat. Other family members, they don't matter. They can eat all the junk they need. They can eat pizzas all day, they will eat burgers, they will eat all the nonsense food they can eat. No big deal. What is on your plate is going to be the most important thing for that narcissistic parent. There's a reason behind this. A narcissist identifies very quickly your strength, because you see, your light is your strength, your power, your energy, your authenticity, your choices, the decisions. That is where your light is. What the narcissists now do, they start attacking the same places where your power lies. Do you remember this? Do you remember the story of Samson in the Bible? Story of Samson and Delilah. You Bible scholars, you know these things. Delilah was a narcissist. Samson was a chosen one, and he had a lot of power. What Delilah did, Delilah came and seduced Samson because Delilah knew, if I can get in bed with him and I can attack and harvest his sexual energy, I can weaken him. And eventually Delilah asked Samson, where and what is the secret to your power? And Samson told Delilah the power was in the hair. In his hair, you see those pictures. I think you guys have read the Bible. So the power was residing in his hair. Okay? So Delilah figured out that if I can weaken this man, I can wait for him to sleep. And she took scissors and she cut off his hair. And by the time he woke up in the morning, he did not have any power at all. The dreadlocks, thank you very much, them hits. So Delilah cut off Samson's hair, and Samson lost his power. So the narcissist attacks the same places where your power lies. So you can have a parent, and your parent, when your parent looks at you, for example, when your parent sees you, your parent can only see greatness. Your parent is like, wow, this person is going to be great. If I can only allow them or let them go in that direction, they're going to be great. You know what your parent is going to do? Your parent is going to start feeding you with junk and diverting you from different directions so that you can now go different paths. Your father may tell you things like, oh, I don't think if you can follow that path of being a lawyer or becoming a doctor or getting starting the whatever engineer or whatever, why don't you try art, for example? Why don't you try fashion? And it's going to divert you, and you're going to do something that is completely different, and something that is going to put you on a different path that is not even taking you anywhere. So he's going to start manipulating your education. Sometimes he may even refuse to pay your fees. This time I couldn't afford the fees and this and this. So he may start making some excuses because he's secretly dragging you behind. What actually your father is doing, your father is slowly hijacking your destiny. Your father is hijacking your timeline. Because you already consciously, because I've told you some of these family members, they're NPCs, Many of them don't know how, they don't have a brain of their own. They can go whatever, do whatever they want. Nobody is bothered what they are doing, how they are playing. Your father is very worried about what you're doing. So they start diverting your attention away from your purpose. They hijack your timeline. Oh, you cannot go and do those lawyer things. Those things of lawyers, is for different families. As you can see, if you can go and start agriculture, breeding chicken, or which is not bad, okay, but that may not be something that has to do with your timeline. So your father is putting you on a timeline that is completely different and is not meant for you. Because you see, if you stay on your timeline, your father is going to feel like a failure because you are actually going to prove to him, or maybe say, because you see, these people, they're like on competition with you. Your own mother can start competing with you. So they are thinking that if they allow you to go ahead with that timeline, it is going to look like they failed because you're going to outcompete them. So for them, they're like, the end result is going to look like they have failed. So you're going to be like another little competition and they're going to feel like failures. So they're going to divert and play around with the timeline and put on a different path. By the time you realize that you've been following a different path, it's years. It has been ages. 10 years down the road, you've been following a completely different path. And you're like, I shouldn't have gone this direction. This was a waste of time. Now, you're waking up, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to try to follow a different path altogether. I want to go a different direction. And you're trying to wake up and pick up the lost pieces to go where you want to go. When I started these videos, I remember when I started helping people, I am 100% sure that the narcissistic parent didn't like this path. So, and then we fell out with narcissistic parent. And then I realized that actually the whole falling out of this whole thing was because of the choice I took. I wanted to help people. So how do you expect me to help people when I'm still involved with the dysfunctional metrics, family metrics? Because I'm going to be talking about black sheep, I'm going to be talking about golden child, I'm going to be talking about enabling parent, I'm going to be talking about this, and I'm going to be talking about that. And you think they're going to invite me and you sit with me on the table talking about that stuff? It's not possible. A lot of your parents, they have already seen your destiny. Your parents, they see. They know that this child is going somewhere. They can almost smell where you're going. They can almost see what direction you're taking. The only thing they can do is to drag you off of your path. So like I've been trying to explain to you guys, there is times when you have with the narcissist, and the narcissist is going to run in circles. They're opening the windows. So you're now fighting with them. What is wrong? The weather is okay. It's you know, it's too cold outside or something. You know, maybe it is snowing. And they're going to tell you they are burning up. I've been with the narcissist. You guys have been with the narcissist at some point. The narcissist would gulp ice cold water. Ice cold. Are you guys hearing what I'm saying? Ice cold water. A whole bottle like that. You just sit around the narcissist and they start drinking ice cold water. And you don't understand what is happening. Now I'm starting to remember and I think, okay, that's exactly what was that. Because you see, energetically, your frequency is too high. Your frequency is burning down demonic energy. They can't stand that. Your frequency is burning down demonic energy, and they are struggling with your frequency. Let me tell you something, chosen ones. You have been fighting this battle for a very long time. You wasn't just aware of it. You have been fighting the battle for a very, very long time. You just didn't know what kind of battle you was fighting. You was fighting in spirit. For you, it looks like normal people walking in and out of your life, but actually there's a battle that is happening spiritually. The battle between the light and darkness. That's what it is. Your frequency burns down narcissistic energy. Everything that you see the narcissist is doing, everything, I'm talking about everything, it is aimed at making you feel a certain way and to lower your vibrational frequency, because at that frequency, if they don't do that, they cannot be around you. So they struggle and find ways they can beat down that frequency so that they can feed off of your energy. Because when it's too high, they cannot sustain, they cannot manage it. They bring it down low, destroy your aurific field, and now they can penetrate your aura. Is what they do. It's all energy, ladies and gentlemen. Don't nobody fool you. Everything has always been about energy from the day one, from the beginning of time. It has always been about energy. You just didn't know it. Golden girl, I see you. Karen, I see you. So the more, when you wake up one day and you go within to know who you are on the deep level, spiritual level, that is when everything clears up. Is when now you start to understand everything that has been happening from day one. Makes a lot of sense. Do you guys really believe the empath will wake up and they're just going to walk away from their family like that without a reason? You really believe that? Empaths are the last people to leave their family. They're the last people. Everybody else will abandon the family. Empaths will be the last one to leave. When you find one that has left the family, give them space. When you find an empath that has finally left a narcissistic individual, give that person space. That empath, if you do not get out of their way, they are going to burn you all the way down. Because one of the things that happens when empaths awaken, they remember their power. You know, you've always been powerful. You have always had the power. The people was just hiding around, playing with your energy, manipulating you. They didn't want you to remember who you are. They never wanted you to know your power. If you ask me, I will tell you, I do not adore any celebrity. I see them at a distance, whatever they are doing, you know, they are whatever, I don't know what careers they have, and I respect what they're doing. But I do not give them my energy. I do not. The empaths, you are the spiritual celebrities. Do you want me to repeat that for you? You are the spiritual celebrities. So if you're the person who is still running behind these celebs and all that, my celeb and everything, and you're celebrating, no, you're wasting time. Go within. You need to stop and go within. You're the celebrities without Ferraris. Everybody knows that celebrities go to drive the Ferrari, and then there are these mansions, and there are these Gucci suits and everything. No. The real celebrity is the one with the spiritual power. And there is celebrity, but by the way, there is celebrities who are spiritual as well. There are some chosen celebrities, you know. There is chosen ones that are celebrities in the industry. So for me, before I follow a celebrity, I need to first of all understand their energetic frequency before I kind of put my energy over there. The narcissist has always been hiding you from your power. They never wanted you to find out for the longest of time. Because when you know your power, you don't have any value for them. Have you guys ever left a narcissist, for example? You break up, you guys break apart. And in a few, let's say, maybe 6 months, maybe even up to a year, let's say. And you're looking back and you're thinking, was it me dating that man? Was it you dating that woman? How did you end up with that person in the first place? You are now starting to remember. You're thinking that how in the world did you end up in the relationship with that man or that woman? Because now your brain is starting to think. You know, you're starting to, you know, the fog, when the fog leaves, you start to think properly. And you're like, did I really date that person? Did I get married to that person? And you can't believe it. It's because you didn't know your power and you fell for the trap. So do you remember the story of, let me say, let me try to paint for you a picture of what I mean in the spiritual realm. So you have a room. I'm going to paint for you a picture in an easy way that you can understand. So you have a room. Dark, it's dark everywhere. Dark, you cannot see anything. Dark, complete pitch black. And in that room, there is people inside that room doing shady stuff. So you walk in this room, you open the door, and you switch on the light. What do you expect to happen? What do you expect is going to happen? The people that are doing shady stuff are going to shout at you. Switch off the light. Why did you switch on the light? They're going to start fighting at you. You who is switching on the light, they're going to start fighting with you. Because they was comfortable in the dark doing their shady stuff. So you came in and you switched on the light. So when you're dealing with people with demonic energy, you embody a frequency. That frequency is a very pure frequency. A person that embodies light is a person who acts out of truth, authenticity, which means that everything you do authentic, it triggers those demons. Everything you say is true, it triggers those demons. Everything you say out of love is going to trigger the demons because they don't operate at that frequency. So that's what I mean by the light. Sometimes you say things as they are, and people are going to be like, oh, how dare you say this? How dare you? You could at least have said this instead of that. Now they are telling you what you should have said. That is because you have triggered a certain demon by saying something as it is. That is a frequency. Authenticity and truth is a frequency. That's what I mean by light. So wherever you show up in the vicinity, you are going to operate in your authentic self, and you will say and speak your truth. And that is the opposite of what demons want. So it feels like poison. It's like, for example, you trying to poison somebody's drink when you show up in that energy. That is what the frequency feels like. That question is to answer, Lisa, because I was finding a way, the best way for you to understand this. So it's not like light, I'm not talking about light. Yes, in the spiritual realm, you vibrate with light. But when you're talking about these physical 3D dimensions, people may just see you as an ordinary person, but on the spiritual sense, in the spiritual level, you are light. That is who you are, empaths. Are we together, my chosen ones? It is that same light that triggers the hell out of those people. It bothers them, it triggers them, it makes them very sick, it makes them very uncomfortable. That is because it's pure light. Have you guys approached someone? Let's say, for example, you walked into a room and you don't know what happened. Somebody just stood up and left. As soon as you walked in, they walked out. This is the most easiest example I can give you. Even on the 3D, you can understand this. You just walked into some place. Maybe it was a public transport, or maybe you walked into a shop. And as soon as you sat down, somebody stood up and walked away. They don't know you. They walked away as soon as you came and sat next to them. They stood up and walked away. They left the vicinity. Or maybe you walk into some place, people are so, you could find a group of 2 or 3 people, or maybe even 1 or 2. As soon as you walk in, you see somebody getting up and they're opening the windows. Oh, it's too hot in here. Let us open the windows. They are now starting to open up the windows. There's no problem with the temperature. Temperature is normal. When you walk in, they're going to get up and they're going to start opening the windows everywhere. They're opening some of them, you may see them switching on the fan or maybe switching on the AC. That is what I'm talking about. Is why you see you have been battling these entities. They have been fighting you day in, day out. Was because of that light. And there are sometimes people who see. You see, there are sometimes you might have run into people. And people could have seen you very long time ago. You was a child, 2 or 3 years old or something. Maybe there was an uncle, a person came at your house, and they have told your parent that kid, you see, that kid is going to be a very great child when they grow up. They're going to travel the world. They're going to help people. They're going to be very important in society. Somebody has mentioned that word when he was a kid. Those are the people that actually saw your light. I actually have done the whole video on that. I don't remember the name of that video. Some people have already seen your light even from the time you was a kid. So if you have been dealing with these evil parents, narcissistic parents, the witches, those covens, they have already extinguished your light and they're already doing something. They have already swapped destinies with you. Ndovukazi, you were supposed to say something yesterday. You are supposed to come here and say hello. I'm going to give you a chance. Ndovukazi, you want to come? I'm going to give you the platform. So how do I do this? So when you was a kid, so those people, they came and they told your father, that child, you see that kid over there? That kid is very powerful. They have a light. When they grow up, they're going to be prophets. They've got very big destiny. So the very moment people start to realize, oh, your evil parents, demonic parents, they say, what? They're going to be famous? They're going to start attacking that light from the beginning. The world is spiritual, ladies and gentlemen. We have been battling things for decades, for years. It's now that we're starting to understand the length of the things we've been fighting behind the scenes. I cannot answer that question, Joy, if it has something to do with the blood moon or whatever. There are some other people who are, so I'll be sharing some of these questions. Maybe there can be somebody in the chat who is familiar with all those blood moon and everything, eclipse and stuff. You think judgment justice period officially began for these narcs after blood moon eclipse? I cannot surely answer that. All right, guys, so it's been a pleasure. By the way, guys, please follow me on TikTok, okay? I'm also on TikTok, so I think you will see one of the links in the comments. I've got also TikTok. So on TikTok, we have about 20-something thousand followers. I think 26,000. I rarely post on TikTok, but I think we are going to be posting on TikTok as well. So if you want my lives as well, I'm also doing lives on TikTok. I'm doing lives on TikTok. So you can go there and follow me if you don't want to miss out. If you have enjoyed the show today, don't forget to give us a like. You can always subscribe. Maybe you can share to your platforms. And if you wish to book a session, I will put an email in the description. If you wish to donate, there will be links as well in the section below. And I wish you all the best. Love and blessings. Peace.